Superhero movies have made a big comeback recently. Between the Fantastic Four and James Gunn's new Superman, it seems like everyone has superheroes on the brain right now. It's no wonder there's a new challenge right now where people are designing their own superhero costumes using real fashion as inspiration. I have been utterly obsessed with this trend, and it made me want to try it out. In this video, I'll be showcasing 2 superhero and 1 supervillain fashion drawings and going over the inspiration from each. I actually cheated a little bit on the first design because I didn't come up with the inspiration. This is one of the first versions of the trend that I saw on TikTok, and I really wanted to draw it. So you could say this is what inspired the whole video. The outfit inspo comes from TikTok user @thepinkwitch, and it's Sue Storm from the Fantastic Four, but crank up the 1960s fashion to the max. Right away, you get the 60s vibe with the two-toned mod dress, Vivienne Westwood shoes and stockings. Then the design is taken even further with the mod makeup look, beehive hair, white gloves, a chunky headband, and clear accessories. The Pink Witch also created a mock-up of the final look, which made it a lot easier for me to draw. I started off this drawing with a base sketch, trying to nail down Sue's pose. I looked at a few reference images of some real 1960s fashion models to help me with this, mainly using this image as a reference. I love the way the dress flares out, and I thought it would complement the mod dress in the fashion inspo. When I finished my pose blockout, I lowered the opacity and started drawing the clothes, the hair, and accessories on a new layer in red. I like to do this sometimes to help my brain differentiate between the clothes and the body, and to keep my sketches clean. I walked through each item on the fashion inspiration board until my sketch was done, and then I was ready for line art. I used Procreate's dry ink brush for this because the texture suits a classic comic book style, which is what I was going for. I don't typically draw in this style, so I had to experiment a little to get it to look right. I outlined my entire sketch with this brush and then moved on to adding shadows. I wasn't initially planning on adding shadows during the line art stage, but I noticed a lot of comic book artists add shadows in the inking step, which is a practice that goes back to the pen and paper days. I think the shadows added a lot of depth to the piece and helped to sell the style, so I'm happy I chose to include them. Finally, I moved on to the coloring phase. I added all the colors onto the same layer using the selection tool. I added a few areas of shadow in the hair and the skin, but the inked shadows do most of the heavy lifting. I added a simple background and the Sue Storm piece was finished. As a final detail, I also did an alternative version with Sue becoming invisible to showcase her power. I think this drawing turned out so cute. For my next drawing, I decided to create my very own concept. I had to debate for quite a while which superhero or villain to choose for this. The trend kind of implies that you're creating your own supersona, a version of yourself embodying the character of your choice. I didn't know whether I should stick with a female hero because I'm a girl, or just choose a character I like. In the end, I decided to stop overthinking it and just pair fashion styles and characters that I thought would go well together. That brought me to 70s Aquaman. I'm not sure why, but Aquaman and 70s fashion is a perfect combination to me. Something about him just screams 1970s, and hopefully my design will convince you. For fashion inspiration, I consulted good ol' Pinterest. It had no shortage of cute 1970s inspired outfit pieces for me to draw on, so I saved a bunch of references to my board. Here's what I came up with. Green velvet bell bottoms with this golden sequin top to resemble Aquaman's golden scale armor. I had an idea to add fishnet gloves underneath the top because fish, and then I found quite a few examples of golden nautical themed jewelry. For the hair, I found this beautiful wavy beachy picture, which I believe is from Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. I figured that fit the 1970s theme well enough. I had a hard time finding examples of the makeup style I was going for, but something kinda similar to this with golden scales. I also really wanted to add some of these glass bobbers as they just gave me a nautical vibe. And lastly, I found this macrame skirt that reminded me of a fishnet or a hammock, so I used that as well. Here we go with the drawing, same as before. I started off with a sketch to nail down the pose. I imagined this character would be a strong swimmer, so I gave her a more muscular build. Aquaman always reads as confident to me, so I chose a more confrontational pose for her as well. I added the outfit and accessories in red, and then moved on to the line art step. This design had a lot of intricate details to get down, but I actually really enjoyed doing them. Same as before, I used the dry ink brush to get the comic book feel down. I didn't add all too many shadows to this one, mostly just under the hair to make her earrings stand out more. I outlined the perimeter of the character to fill it with color, and then blocked out the base colors. One fun challenge for this drawing was rendering different types of materials. She has velvet bell-bottoms, golden accessories, and a gold sequin shirt, blue glass bobbers, and silky blonde hair. It was tricky but very fun. I also added a little color to her shoulders and cheeks because I imagine she spends a lot of time in the sun. Finally, I added the macrame skirt on top to complete the look. Here it is, ta-da! After the first two drawings, I was still itching for more. Plus, the video wouldn't be complete if I didn't include a villain. So this time, I decided to see if I could come up with my own outfit completely from scratch for infamous DC villain Harley Quinn. Right away, I already knew I wanted to try some variant of Japanese alternative fashion for her, so I began by looking at black and red Lolita-style dresses on Pinterest. For anyone who doesn't know, Lolita fashion is a subculture influenced by Victorian and Rococo fashions. After some research, I ended up leaning a little more into a different fashion style, Jirai-kei. This is a darker and somewhat controversial Japanese subculture that has a sharper edge to it. I thought the sharpness of the style complemented Harley Quinn a lot better, so I found some more references I could use for inspiration. For this drawing, I used my image references as inspiration to guide my imagination rather than drawing the outfit pieces one-to-one. It made the drawing a bit harder, but I had my own ideas in mind that were harder to find online. You know the gist by now. I started by sketching out the pose. With less photo references to work from, the pose ended up stumping me for a while, and I had to try several different ones before I found the pose I wanted. I leaned pretty heavily on this picture for the pose and dress silhouette. After the pose was done, I went in with my red pen to sketch out the clothes and hair. The hair also gave me a lot of trouble. It just wasn't coming out how I envisioned it. I think I'm learning for this drawing that sketching from the imagination is a difficult but necessary step in artistic development. I will always use references for my art, as this is something even master artists do. But if you want to learn how to draw what you see in your head, sometimes you just need to draw more and commit more things to your memory. Anyways, the rest of the drawing went pretty smoothly, and I finally felt comfortable drawing in the comic style. The colors were very straightforward, black and red color scheme with some splashes of white and alternating elements. I didn't know if Harley Quinn had white or blonde hair, and it seems like the jury is kind of out on that one, but I went with blonde. Now we have 3 blonde drawings. I added some extra shading and a green background, and boom, Harley is done. This was the most challenging piece by far, and I think design-wise, it's the weakest of the 3. But I still like it because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and I have ideas on how to improve my next drawings. Design is hard, but consistency is key. After all the work, here are all the 3 drawings side by side. They all have their own unique flair, and at least to me, they're all readable as their respective characters. This challenge was really fun. I do recommend trying it. Even if you don't have a superhero that you see as close to yourself, you can always just do what I did and use this as an excuse to practice drawing different fashion styles. Let me know down in the comments which character you would try this with, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching!